Happy Friday, everybody. It's Katie from We So Nerdy, and I'm here this evening with Fumbi, and we are back to talk about The Walking Dead. As many of you know, Sunday is the season 8 finale, and it's the conclusion of the all-out war arc. So it is the perfect time for me to flail and fangirl over my favorite show. And Fumbi has been so gracious and lovely to kind of wrangle me in and keep me on topic when it comes to all of the things that we're going to talk about on this broadcast. So I'm really super excited about doing this. I've been wanting to do it this season. So yay. We're going to start off with really kind of softball questions before we get into the problematic nature that is Rick Grimes and his whole mercy and wrath this season. But before we get into all that fun, I just wanted you all to say hi to Fumbi. Say hi to Fumbi. Hi.
Hey guys. Hey everybody. I'm really, really glad to be here. I am embarrassed to say that I watch Walking Dead, but I'm like a Fairweather fan and not even a Fairweather fan. But I know that Katie is so knowledgeable. She is the most knowledgeable person on this show. And if you've been following her posts on the site, and you should be following her posts on the site and her live tweeting, she is always on point, and her insights give so much depth into the show and make it more rich. It's because of her that I want to start watching the show. So I am glad to be here tonight, mostly as a sounding board, and I'm here to learn. So Katie, I turn things over to you, my friend.
Thank you so much. So I started binge watching The Walking Dead about 4 years ago, and it became the center of my world. Like, I love it. I love everything about it. But I do get very salty about some things. And so I know that the Walking Dead fandom is a very big, large place. We all have so many different opinions and just theories. And so, but we are typically super respectful of other people's opinions. So knowing that, I'm a super respectful person. But first, we need to talk about Eugene. We've got to talk about Eugene. He has been on the show since season 4B. And, he wasn't really a doctor, but they still call him Dr. Eugene Porter. I don't get it. And over the last season, he has really sort of started to wear on me. And so it brings up the important question, is there a chance of redemption for his character? Because as most of us know, he is at the sanctuary. He has his own outpost now, making bullets for Negan. And last episode, he really sort of kicked it into high gear when it came to like making these bullets and making sure they had enough, because he was going to, he was not just going to meet the quota. He was going to go exceed the quota because he was super pissed at Rosita and Daryl. And so is there a chance of redemption for him? And I remember when Fumbi was watching this for the first time, she's like, he's not a doctor?
I was so blown. Like, everyone treats him with so much respect. Even Negan treats him with respect. And it turns out that he's like a has-been, but he can't be a has-been because he was never a doctor. That's preposterous. And now he's a traitor.
Yeah. I mean, he's a total fraud. Now, Eugene is super smart. He knows tons of things, but a doctor he is not. And one of the things we've learned about Eugene is he will attach himself to anyone to survive. And so we meet him, and he's running for some walkers, and he sees Abraham, who's about to kill himself, and he's just attaching himself to Abraham, and Abraham's like, hell, a purpose. I've got a purpose now. And then when all of that goes south, Eugene sort of kind of attaches himself to Rick, and he's like, I can get the lights set up in Alexandria. I can do all of these things. And he does have little moments where he shows bravery. But when he got taken by Negan, that was all bets are off, because Negan is this alpha. Negan is the top guy, and Eugene wants to be with the person who's going to ensure his life is safe. And so at this point, I sort of feel like Eugene has turned on Rick. He's turned on Rick. He's turned on Team Family. the only really way Eugene is going to be able to redeem himself is either he is going to be responsible for these horrible bullets and they are going to backfire and jam the Savior's guns this upcoming episode where they walk into this trap, or he's going to end up maybe taking a bullet himself, protecting someone, Rick or Rosita or someone else that he sort of owes his life to. So that's really the only way I can see Eugene redeeming himself in the upcoming episodes.
What? Could he be making bad bullets?
I think so. I think that like Gabriel did it because he's going through some issues. Gabriel is on his own. And he didn't want anyone hurt. Like he didn't want to kill anybody. But he certainly wanted to put a stop to the plan. Gabriel did. And I think Eugene, he may follow that. Like he may sabotage the bullets. And that would be redeemable. Like that would make me go, okay, Eugene, he did something brave. He risked his life. But right now I'm sort of over him in general. Like he threw up on Rosita to get away. It was gross. And it was sardine mac and cheese. That's really specific. And it was gross. It was really bad. And then Daryl, who is like this extremely talented tracker, runs right past him. Now, I know Daryl's got a lot of stuff on his mind, but that seems like a big, character. Like that didn't match. Like Daryl just ran by this guy, and it didn't make sense. I was not impressed by that. I was not happy with that. But
So you are not happy with Eugene, and you think Eugene is still a traitor.
I do. I think Eugene's a traitor. And I mean, God bless him. The man, he doesn't want to die. And he said that. He's scared of dying. Just like Gabriel has said he is scared of dying. Like, I get it. You don't want to die. You're going to attach yourself to the guy who's most in charge. It makes sense. But at the same time, you have managed to just like alienate a bunch of people. And I'm just like, I'm done with you. Especially since you're making bullets in this factory that you told Rick that you would end up making bullets for him for. And that's really sort of the last time you were with Abraham is in this factory. Now, granted, Abraham did say some really horrible stuff to him there. But, I mean, Eugene, he's problematic. And he's been problematic. It's on brand. It's on brand for Eugene. So
speaking of problematic, can we talk a little bit about Dwight?
Oh, see, Dwight's super problematic because I like him. I like Dwight so much.
But here's the thing, right? Dwight is now Negan's captive, yeah?
Yes, he is captive.
So does that put to rest the fact that he sided with Daryl and the others?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so much. Because for the last 3 weeks, all Tara and Daryl have argued about is Dwight and his allegiance. For a while there, Tara was like, let's kill him. He's totally nothing but a savior. He's with Negan. And Daryl was like, well, we need to give him this opportunity. And then all of a sudden it switched. And Tara's like, we need to give Dwight this opportunity to prove himself. And Daryl's like, no, we should kill him. And so I really hope that this puts it to rest once and for all that Dwight really did go out of his way and risked his own safety to ensure that they had kind of like the best information they could when it came to Negan and his plan. Now, granted, Negan set him up, and that plan is a trap. But Dwight really, he tried. And that's all you can really hope for in the apocalypse.
An A for effort, so to speak.
Oh my gosh, yes, an A for effort, seeing as how he is now wearing a spray painted A on his get up on top of that hill. Yes, but I think Dwight's going to make it out alive, because if they do follow the comic plot, and spoiler alert for all of you who've not read the comics or have Googled like I have obsessively, they're going to need someone to take over the Saviors once Negan's out of the picture, and that is Dwight. So I don't see Dwight dying. I don't see him dying. I see this being the mark of his allegiance. And moving forward, I think that Rick, with Daryl kind of giving him this he's a good guy thumbs up, because that would mean a lot coming from Rick if Daryl said that he trusted Dwight, that I think Dwight will end up kind of taking over the Saviors and being another outpost type community in the end. So yeah, I think Dwight's here to stay for a little while, but that's not to say that he and Daryl are going to be best friends. I don't think that'll ever happen. But it'll be a really cool relationship to watch evolve. So I'm here for that. I'm always here for Daryl.
Well, do you think it's likely that they will follow the plot of the comic books?
I think to a certain extent. And I say that because Negan in the comics does not die. He survives. He doesn't really survives is a very loose term. He is captured and he is imprisoned by Rick. And I think that this whole arc over the entire season that's had to deal with your mercy, being merciful to strangers, being merciful to other people, to extending this olive branch and saying people can change, or there's still humanity left in all of us. This idea that Carl has been hitting on heavily all the way up until his death, and even beyond his death with his letters, is what is going to keep Negan alive. It's not necessarily going to be because they want to follow the comics anymore. I mean, there's no reason why Rick should keep him alive. There's no reason why Negan should live beyond the all-out war arc. He's a horrible person. He's a sociopath. He's a rapist. He's a brutal murderer. He's killed Rick's closest friends in front of him horribly. He's destroyed his community. He established even a close relationship with his son in a way that Rick hasn't been able to connect with Carl in a while. And so there's so many reasons for Rick, vengeful Rick, murder jacket Rick, to kill him. And so for him not to die, they needed something they needed to Lucille the audience, essentially, into believing that this is what should happen. And they did that with Carl's death, which I hate. And that's no secret. Don't worry. I wrote a whole post about it.
We could include that post at the bottom too.
I will include that link in the bottom as well, about how Carl Grimes deserved much better than what he got. And this is coming from someone who didn't realize they were attached to Carl until he got bit by a walker, because that was messed up. But I think they'll follow the plot of the comics. I think that Negan will be imprisoned. I think Dwight will end up taking over for the Saviors. There's no really way to tell what will happen to Daryl, because Daryl's not a comic character. Maggie's character arc is up in the air right now because of contract negotiations. So season 9 is going to happen, but the adaptation of season 9 is probably something that they're working toward right now to try and figure out how things are going to work. Because how do you move forward if your key characters are kind of moving around? But I don't know. It's going to follow the comic plot, I think, pretty closely. And if it does, then we've got other big bads coming, just like we always do.
Mm.
I think they were safe.
So I don't want to like trigger you, but you're you brought it up. You brought up Carl's death.
Mm.
So I just think we need to keep the conversation going I mean, who's going to die, right? This is a finale episode. So we got to ask the question.
And that's something like going into a season finale on The Walking Dead. It is a place your bets, people. Who's going to die? I mean, because someone's going to die, and someone will probably die Sunday night. That's a give. I mean, that's going to happen. For the main characters, though, plot armor is going to be on strong. Like, they are going to be dodging bullets like Neo in the Matrix. It's going to be insane how they managed to make it through this battle. But secondary characters, those people that are extras that they called on set, it's going to be dropping everywhere. Just people that you might have saw passing in the background, just falling over. So I think secondary characters, they're up for grabs. Main characters, no, I don't think anyone's going to die. But it wouldn't be The Walking Dead if they didn't make you think someone was going to die. So that leads me to think that there will be some kind of draw you off with Rick. Like, he's going to look like he's dying, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oceanside ladies, we'll see. I think the two main ones up for grabs, either Gabriel or Eugene. And that's just because they have both expressed a desire to not want to die. And their arcs are sort of getting stale, especially because there's nothing really to do from here. Like, what do we do? Well, if we redeem Eugene, then obviously he can be a part of, team family and this new community they set up. But Gabriel has been kind of on the back burner for a while, and it would be nice for them to wrap up his story in a way that's beneficial to the character, because he's really just been hanging out, and he has maintained his faith, which is impressive in the zombie apocalypse. I give him credit for that. But his decisions haven't always been the best. The whole idea at the beginning of this season where he gets out of the car to go save Gregory at the sanctuary. I mean, Gregory. Gregory's a terrible person. And he leaves Gabriel. And that ends up Gabriel being in the trailer with Negan. And that was a fun episode. Negan talked about, I believe he talked about jerking off several times in like 5 minutes. Which, I mean, Negan's a fun character. He's got lots of colorful language. But Gabriel needs something. He needs something to tie him up. And so maybe if he does die, they will do that. I don't want to have a lot of high hopes for that coming through. Like, I think it'll be like a 2-second thing if they did do it. And I guess my saltiness is coming through when it comes to them tying up character arcs and death on the show. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I need them to try harder when it comes to tying up a character who's been on the show for 4 seasons, 5 seasons, 8 seasons. Maybe tie that character's arc up a little bit better. Give him a little more screen time, a little bit more fleshing out, as opposed to going, you know what? We should get him some pen and paper. Let him write some notes, tie up all those loose ends later. Because
your Carl shade is showing.
I'm telling you, I can't get beyond that. That really set me over the edge this season, was Carl's death. Because I can see Carl doing something noble and trying to help Sadiq, get back to the safe zone, because that's who Carl is. Carl's always sort of been, he's had that light that Lori kind of talked about before she died, you're gonna, don't do this because it's easy, because sometimes that's the wrong path. Sometimes you're going to have to do things that are hard. And Carl maintained that in some ways. Now, Carl's very much a kid. He had to grow up a whole lot quicker. And he did have to hold a whole lot on his shoulders that not kids have to face. But I mean, it's the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, he's going to have to do that. But man, Carl, I mean, I guess he was on brand if you want to look at it. He did die because he left the house and people told him to stay put. That's pretty Carl. But getting bit by a walker, like that's so anticlimactic. Really? Like, he survived 8 seasons. He survived, like, give or take, like 3.5 years in the 3 years in the zombie apocalypse. And he got bit by a walker? That's how he went out? Man. Like, if I was Carl, I would be, like, super pissed. Like, I would not be about, like, putting blue handprints on the porch or anything like that. Like, I would be so mad. I'd be like, this is it? This. But I don't know. It just, that whole process was so drawn out, with Carl getting bit and then having to wait from December until February to get the resolution, that the emotional resonance of his death, I didn't get sad. I got angry. And so it was like the exact opposite of what I should have felt. And I thought it was so out of character to have his death end up being him taking his own life. Because Carl, I mean, he has taken a lot on. He's taken a lot on his shoulders, and he's taken a lot on his shoulders so that Rick wouldn't have to carry it. Like, Carl took care of Lori. Instead of letting her turn into a walker, Carl shot his own mom. Okay, Carl has taken care of his dad when he was beaten beyond recognition. When he thought his dad turned into a walker and flipped out in season 4 because he didn't know what he was going to have to do. Like, he was going to have to do the same thing to his dad that he did to his mom. That was Carl's thought process. And then to have Carl have to shoulder his own death. And now I know that some people are going to say, well, if you can still do it, you should take your own life, to save people that added emotional hurt. But let's be real here. The whole game of The Walking Dead is to make you emotionally hurt. They've never cut corners when it comes to pulling strings emotionally to make people feel extremely sad or shocked, or using gore and the noises to make you feel like a visceral reaction, like a punch in the gut. Like, they don't shy away from that crap. So to have Rick set out on the porch and Michonne, and that was really out of character for Michonne. And you could tell, like, just even in her posture and the way she was standing back beside the door, that was not someplace she wanted to be. Like, she wanted to be in there. And I could tell that more with Michonne than I could with Rick. But I did not like that. I did not like how that played out. No, that was not my favorite. Like, out of the Walking Dead deaths. And this is coming from someone who will sit on their petty hill and die over Beth Green's death in season 5. I will do it. Carl's death was I just didn't like it. I thought it was poorly handled. So yeah, that was like my big spill on Carl. Bless his heart, may he rest in peace. He deserved better.
Well, do you see sort of any positive legacy of Carl for the finale or for the show moving forward? Is there anything that comes out of it?
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. Like Carl in the comics, Carl is eventually supposed to take over for his dad. And he becomes that protagonist because Rick gets is hurt. He's older. This whole old man Rick that we saw in the beginning of the season, and we saw again briefly later on in the mid-season finale. That is all that's all Carl's vision of what this peaceful future could be if we all just live together. And it's a beautiful thought. It's something that we would all really want, and that would be wonderful. And to have that be Carl's legacy is great. But they have come to realize, yes, we can have that, but we're also going to have to fight. We're also going to have to kill. So there's going to have to be a balance there. But Carl's legacy is going to be that Negan lives. That's it. Because we really didn't have a reason why Negan should have survived. Like I said earlier, all Negan's attributes are all the reasons he should be dead. Carl's letters, his pleas to his father, his pleas to Negan, and him saving Sadiq are what's going to keep Negan alive. Because the storylines in The Walking Dead are never linear. Never. Ever. They time jump, like they want to see how many different timelines they can shoot at you at once and you can keep up. So this whole season, we've had separate timelines. And with the season finale, we're finally coming up on this last timeline. And it's the one that we've been teased since Comic-Con in July of 2017. And it is the teary-eyed, red-eyed Rick, who is crying. And as the season has gone on, and they obviously filmed more and more, we've kind of drawn back, and we see that Rick is slumped, or he's leaning against a tree. He's got a wound in his side. He's bleeding out. Above him, at an angle, there looks to be a stained glass window, which is obviously a callback to the church where Carl took his life. And we're outside. It's a beautiful countryside scene. All of Carl's letter to Rick focused on this. Remember when we went on walks, we saw this cow and this pasture, and take Judith on walks, and remember nature and the beauty of the world. All of this, it encapsulates this scene with Rick. So Carl is dead, but Carl is very much alive. His legacy is here. And it is in this culmination of the storyline, or the timeline finally. And so my theory, my working theory, which, theories, they can be completely wrong and not have anything happen. But hey, it's a theory. So I'm thinking Rick is going to be sitting here dying, and Sadiq is going to show up, and he has all of this he has some medical training. He was a resident, and he's going to end up saving Rick. And had Sadiq not been there, Rick would have essentially died, maybe. So without Carl going out and risking his life for Sadiq, and ultimately giving his life so that Sadiq could come back to the safe zone, Rick would have died. And so Rick is going to see that Carl's beliefs do have merit. That if he had just left Sadiq at that gas station and not gone back for him, not thought about him again, he could have been losing a very valuable member of this group. Because we do see Sadiq taking care of Gracie, the Savior's baby, in one of the clips. And we see that he's a smart, good, genuine person. Someone that deserves to be saved. And so with him saving Rick is going to want to honor Carl's legacy. And that will be extending this olive branch to Negan. Now, obviously, Rick's not going to be like, here you go, here's your house, here's your gun. He's going to be like, here's your cell. We're going to rehabilitate you. And that works really well in the zombie apocalypse. But, I think that Carl's legacy will live on through that. and it will live on through Judith, because if they haven't killed her yet, when she was not supposed to be around for a long time at all, Judith will be here for a bit. And the more I got to thinking of this over the last few days, the more I realized that if I had just paid attention in episode 1, I would have realized that Carl was probably going to die, because Rick pats Maggie on the shoulder and he tells her, I'll be following you when this is over. Something to that extent. Now, in my mind, of course, I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, obviously Maggie's going to be at Hilltop and he'll let her kind of take the lead of this little group of communities where it's Maggie, Ezekiel, and Rick. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, they called it back in episode 1. Carl was never meant to take over as the protagonist of his father's story. Maggie was, or Maggie in theory was going to take that position. If she does now, you know, I mean, that's sort of up in the air. But I thought about that this past week as I was watching clips of the old episodes to kind of refresh my memory. I was like if I had just stopped and just really put weight on Rick's words, maybe I wouldn't have been so shocked, and maybe I could have prepared myself a little bit better, but I didn't. And that led to a whole bunch of angst that I was not expecting at all.
Oh, well, you can't be hard on yourself. I think it can be really, well, what is it that they say, right? Hindsight is 20/20. So sort of now at the end of the season, you can look back and sort of put all those clues together. But I mean, no one knew that Carl was going to die at the beginning of the season. No one knew. Even the actor who plays him, I don't think knew. Come on.
Exactly. Like even Chandler Riggs is going, wait, what? What? And I mean, that's it. And that's one of the things that after watching this season, like I still love the show. I do love The Walking Dead. Like I give it crap, and I do critique it and get salty with it. But I do love the story, and I do think that they have wonderful writers and a wonderful cast and crew who put so much effort into this massive story that, I mean, it's incredible. Like, I love it. I do. And I think one of the reasons that I do get so, you know, intense in some ways about it is because I really do love it. And things sneak up on you. Things kind of come at you and you're just like, wait, what? I wasn't ready for him to go. And they always say, you know, this is The Walking Dead. Anyone can die. But they really hadn't done that in a long time because we knew Glenn was going to die. We did. It was heartbreaking and it was awful. And I still can't watch that episode because it was so violent. And I know that it was meant to be that way. And I understand that. But we've not lost a main character on this show so quietly, I guess. Because Carl didn't go down in a blaze of bullets. He didn't go down getting beaten to death by Lucille or getting eaten to death in a revolving door of walkers. He didn't have a loud, traumatic, ripping apart death. Carl's death was quiet. And that hit harder to me than some of the deaths that they've done for shock kills. Because it happened so suddenly and there was no way to fix it. Because if you see someone get torn apart by walkers, you're like, well, they're dead. And like you see someone get bit, you're like, oh no, that's sad. But we've never seen someone get bit and those effects draw out so slowly. Because even when Tyrese was bit and they cut his arm off, he bled out and he died rather quickly. Now his death episode is one of the best. It's 5:10, what's happening and what's going on. If you want to rewatch, it's a great episode. His death was one of those really traumatic, jarring ones because you weren't expecting it. But Carl's death was quiet, and it was long, and it took a bit. And so what I really wish we could have seen is not so much a montage of what Carl did that day. I really wish we could have maybe, I don't really even know what I'm looking for here. I don't think there's any proper way to say goodbye to him that would have made me go, okay, that was great. That right there set it apart. I do think that it would have involved him not taking his own gun, though. That would have been a step up, I think. But I'm not one of the writers, and I'm sure that there are some of you out there who thought Carl's death, like, kicked ass, was awesome. And the writing is really great, but, you know, we all have our differences of opinion. I know there are some people out there that as soon as 508, or not 508, my bad, that's my trauma episode, 508, 808 happened, you were like, computer time, let me fix this. And you just went to work on that fix. And I commend you for that. I do, for being able to look in the face of such tragedy and to move forward and to create. That's awesome. To be able to do that. But, you know, the show is I will not stop watching it. I will be here as long as Daryl's here. And that was intentional. And I know that some people are like, I hate Daryl. He's not a comic book character. I know. But still, I like Daryl a lot. And I like Rick sometimes. Rick's a problematic guy. He's got issues. I think that if we had started this whole series and we had been following Negan this whole time, we may have viewed him in a different way, and maybe Rick's the bad guy. So it's all about shades of gray in this series. Rick's not entirely good. He's not entirely bad. He makes crap decisions. Luckily, he's got Michonne there to set his ass straight regularly. I seriously think if Michonne was gone, Rick would go off the rails, because she's really kept his character grounded. I mean, to the point where she knocked him out when he was having a fit that one time in season 6. And that was fun. That was a good episode. That was nice. When she knocked him unconscious, that was good. Good times. We should have more of that. But this Sunday, expect there to be a huge kerfluffle, because they've got bad plans. Negan's going to trap them. Negan is obviously going to capture some people. There's going to be an epic showdown, because this is the end of the all-out war arc. It's over with. Like, this is it. And how they wrap that up with just an additional 10 minutes, you know, is going to be impressive to see. But how they do it, I'm here for it. And it's going to be insane. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if towards the end of the episode, Negan is hurt and Rick doesn't send Sadiq over to help him. Just to kind of further prove that he's 100% on board with what Carl wants. And then, you know, Morgan's going to hop on that helicopter and get to Fear the Walking Dead just in time for its premiere, which happens right after. And I've not watched Fear the Walking Dead, so I have no comment on that at all. If you guys have any theories about how that's going to work out, please tell me, because I'm really kind of curious. Because it seems like there's going to be a pretty big time jump to get Morgan onto Fear with his staff and everything. That's going to be, and will it make room for more time, more character crossovers? Are we going to have people like just jetting off to Fear? I don't know. It's a franchise. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good. The title of the episode is called Wrath, which directly goes against the season premiere, which was Mercy. So I don't think we're going to get much wrath. Maybe we'll have a little bit of wrath, and then the Mercy will come at the end. But maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Negan totally dies, and then I'll be shocked. And I really won't have any words. I will be shocked. Definitely. Are you going to watch Fumi?
I am going to watch, but I haven't watched at all season long. I don't even think I watched the episode where Carl died. So everything I know about the season is through like your recaps and your reviews. So I feel like I know what's going on. So I'm gonna watch, even if it's only to give Katie some moral support.
She's gonna be there for me to text and yell. And I appreciate that so much.
I'm happy to be.
Yes, and I appreciate that, because this is my general obsession that I'm still hanging on to. Still got it.
As you should.
Yes, but thank you all so much for listening to me ramble for I don't know how long at this point. But if you have any of your own thoughts, theories, please feel free to share them. And you can definitely take a look in the box down there for the preview post that we have got for Wrath coming up Sunday. And don't forget, live tweet with me at We So Nerdy. It's Sunday night, 9/8 Central. Come live tweet with me. It'll be fun. And you can be as funny, as salty as you want to be, because hey, that's what we're here for. And if you have any good fics you want to send my way, just share those with me. I'm equal opportunity. So yeah, just share them. Be nice. Sharing is caring. We love you. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate this. And I appreciate Fumi so much for being here. And
of course. No, I was glad to. I always, fandom is the thing, right? So even if I'm not necessarily in the Walking Dead fandom, I can 100% appreciate, honor, and love the Walking Dead fanboys and fangirls. So of course I'm going to be here to support.
And thank you guys so much. And once again, just thank you to the writers and the showrunner and the cast and the crew of The Walking Dead. Because I know that you realize what a big undertaking you have when it comes to this show and the expectations that people have. And it can probably get extremely overwhelming, but you guys are awesome and you're rock stars, and everyone appreciates and loves you, and we're so happy to be a part of this with you. And it wouldn't be Team Family without all of that, because we are all Team Family and we are all part of The Walking Dead. So thank you so much. And remember, live tweet with me this Sunday as we talk about, or as we watch what happens at the end of the All Out War arc. So thank you. Bye, guys.